Part 4. What is not Dhamma? Belief in the supernatural is not Dhamma. Belief in Ishvara, God, is not essentially part of Dhamma. Dhamma based on union with Brahma is a false Dhamma. Belief in soul is not Dhamma. Belief in sacrifices is not Dhamma. Belief based on speculation is not Dhamma. Reading books of Dhamma is not Dhamma. Belief in the infallibility of books of Dhamma is not Dhamma. Belief in supernatural is not Dhamma. Whenever any phenomena occurs, humanity is always wanting to know how it has happened. What is the cause of it? Sometimes cause and the effects are so proximate, that so close that it is not difficult to account for the occurrence of events. But oftentimes the effect is so far away from the cause of effect is not accountable. Apparently, there appear to be no cause for it. Then the question arises, how has this event occurred? And then the question arises, how has this event occurred? The commonest answer is that the occurrence of the event is due to some supernatural cause, which is often called a miracle. The Buddha's predecessors gave very different answers to this question. Pakauda Katayana denied that there was a cause for every events he said occurred independently. Makali Gosha admitted that an event must have a cause, but he preached that the cause is not to be found in human agency, but is to be sought in nature, necessity, inheritance, laws of things, predestination, or the alike. And the Buddha repelled these doctrines. He maintained that not only every event has a cause, but the cause is the result of some human action or natural law. His contentions against the doctrine of time, nature, necessity, etc., being the cause of occurrence of an event, was this: if time, nature, necessity, etc., be the sole cause of occurrence of an event, then who are we? Is man merely a puppet in the hands of time, nature, chance, God, fate, necessity? What is the cause of a man's existence if he is not free? What is the sea of man's intelligence if he continue to believe in supernatural causes? If man is free, then every event must be the result of man's action or of an act of nature. There can't be any event which is supernatural in its origin. It may be that man is not able to discover the real cause of the occurrence of an event, but if he has intelligence, he is bound one day to discover it. Repudiating supernaturalism, the Buddha had three objects. His first object was to lead man to the path of nationalism. His second object was to free man to go in search of truth. His third object was to remove the most potent source of superstition, the result of which is to kill the spirit of inquiry. This called the law of karma or causation. This doctrine of karma and causation is the most central doctrine in Buddhism. It preaches rationalism, and Buddhism is not, if not, a rationalism. And that is why worship of supernatural is not Dhamma. Belief in Ishvara, God, is not essentially part of Dhamma. Who created the world is a common question. That the world was created by God is also a very common answer. In the Brahmanic scheme, this God is called by a variety of names: Prajapati, Ishwar, Brahma, or Mahabrahma. To the question who this God is and how he came into being, there is no answer. Those who believe in God describe him as a being who is omnipotent, that is all powerful, omnipresent, that he fills the whole universe, and omniscient, he knows everything. And there are also certain moral qualities which are attributed to God. God is said to be good, God is said to be just, and God is said to be all loving. The question is, did the blessed Lord accept God as the creator of the universe? The answer is no, he did not. There are various grounds why he rejected the doctrine of existence of God. Nobody has seen God. People only speak of God. God is unknown and unseen. Nobody can prove that God has created the world. The world has evolved and is not created. What advantage can there be in believing in God? It is unprofitable. The Buddha said that a religion based on God is based on speculation. A religion based on God is therefore not worth having. It only ends in creating superstition. The Buddha did not leave the question there. He discussed the question in its various aspects. The ground on which he rejected the doctrine were various. He argued that the doctrine of existence of God is not based on truth. This he made clear in his dialogue with the two Brahmins, Vasitha and Bharadwaja. Now a dispute arose between them as to which was the true path of salvation and which false. About the time the Blessed One was journeying through Koshala with a great company of brethren, he happened to halt at the Brahmin village called Mana Sakata and stayed in the mango grove on the bank of the river Arikravati. Manakasata was the town in which Vasitha and Bharadwaj lived. Having heard that the blessed Lord was staying in that town, they went to him and each one put forth his point of view. Bharadwaja said, the path of Taruka is the straight path. This is the direct way which makes for salvation and leads him who acts according to it into a state of union with Brahma. Vasitha said, various Brahmins, O Gautama, teach various paths. The Adhariya Brahmins, the Taittiriya Brahmins, the Kanchoka Brahmin, the Bhihu Vragya Brahmin, they all lead those who act according to them into a state of union with Brahma. Just as near a village or a town, there are many and various paths, yet they all met together in the village. Just in the same way, all the various paths taught by the various Brahmins lead to union and Brahma. Do you say that they all lead aright? Asitha asked Buddha. I say so, Gautama replied Vasitha. But Vasitha, is there a single one of the Brahmins versed in 3 Vedas who has ever seen Brahma face to face? No, indeed, Gautama. Is there a single one of the teacher of the Brahmanas versed in the 3 Vedas who has seen Brahma face to face? No, indeed, Gautama. Nobody has seen Brahma. There is no perceptual knowledge about Brahma. So it is said, Vasitha, how then can you believe that the assertion of the Brahmin that Brahma exists is based on truth? Just Vasitha, as when a string of blind men are clinging one to the other, neither can the foremost see, nor can the middle one see, nor can the hindmost see. Just ever so, me think Vasitha is the talk of Brahmins nothing but blind talk. The first sees not, the middle one sees not, nor can the last. The talk of these Brahmins truth out to be ridiculous, where work a various and empty one. Is this not a case, Vasitha, a man of falling in love with woman whom he has not seen? Yet it is, replied Vasitha. Now, today's 45 minutes reading. The habit of saving. The only lasting favor which the parent may confer upon the child is that of helping the child to help himself or itself. The habit of saving. Man is a combination of flesh, bone, blood, hair, and brain cells. These are the building materials out of which he shapes, through the law of habit, his own personality. To advise one to save money without describing how to save would be somewhat like drawing the picture of a horse and writing under it, "This is a horse." It is obvious to all that the saving of money is one of the essentials of success. But the big question uppermost in the mind of majority of these who do not save it: how can I do it? The saving of money is solely a matter of habit. For this reason, This lesson began with a brief analysis of the law of habit. It is literally true that man, through the law of habit, shapes his own personality. Through repetition, any act indulged in a few times become a habit, and the mind appear to be nothing more than a mass of motivating forces growing out of our daily habits. When once fixed in a mind, a habit voluntarily impels one to action. For example, follow a given route to your daily work, or to some other place that you frequently visit, and very soon the habit has been formed, and your mind will lead you over that route without a thought on your part. Moreover, if you start out with the intention of traveling in another direction without keeping the thought of change in the route constantly in mind, you will find yourself following the old route. Public speakers have found that the telling over and over again of the story, which may be based upon pure fiction, bring into play the law of habits, and very soon they forget whether the story is true or not. Walls of limitation built through habit. Millions of people go through the life in poverty and what because they have made destructive use of the law of habit. Now, understanding either the law of habit or the law of attraction through which like attract like, those who remain in poverty seldom realize that they are where they are the result of their own acts. Fix in your mind the thought that your ability is limited to give the earning capacity and you will never earn more than that, because the law of habit will set up a definite limitation of the amount you can earn. Your subconscious mind will accept this limitation, and very soon you will feel yourself sleeping until finally you will become so had by the fear of poverty, one of the six basic fear, that poverty will no longer knock at your door, your doom will be sealed, your fate fixed. The formation of habit of saving does not mean that you shall limit your uh, earning capacity. It means just the opposite, that you shall apply this law so that it not only conserve that which you earn in a systematic manner, but it also places you in the way of greater opportunity and gives you the vision, the self-confidence, the imagination, the enthusiasm, the initiative and leadership actually to increase your earning capacity. Starting this great law in another way, when you thoroughly understand the law of habit, you may ensure yourself success in the great game of money making by playing both ends of the game against the middle. You proceed in this manner. First, through the law of definite chief aim, you set up in your mind an accurate, definite description of that which you want, including the amount of money you intend to earn. Your subconscious mind takes over this picture with you and has created and use it as a blueprint, chart or map by which to mold your thoughts and action into practical plans for attaining the object of your chief aim or purpose. Through the law of habit, you keep the object of your definite chief aim fixed in your mind in the manner described in lesson 2 until it becomes firmly and permanently implanted there. This practice will destroy the poverty consciousness and setup, and its place a prosperity will begin to expect it. You will begin to prepare yourself to receive it and to use it wisely, thus paving the way you are setting the stage for the development of the habit of saving. Second, having in this manner increased your earning power, you will make further use of the law of habit by provision in your written statement of your definite chief aim for saving a definite proportion of all the money you earn. Therefore, as your earning increase, your savings will likewise increase in proportion. By ever using yourself on the demanding of yourself, increased earning power on the one hand, and by systematically laying aside a definite amount of all your earnings on the other hand, you will soon reach the point at which you have removed all imaginary limitations from your own mind, and you will be well started on the road towards financial independence. Nothing could be more practical or more easily accomplished than this. Reverse the operation of the law of habit by setting up in your mind the fear of poverty. Very soon this fear will reduce your earning capacity until you will be barely able to earn sufficient money to take care of your actual necessities. The publisher of newspaper could create a panic in a week's time by filling their column with news items concerning the actual business failure of the country, despite the fact that but few business compared to the total number in existence actually fail. The so-called crime waves are very large, the products of the sensational journalism, a single murder case which exploited by the newspaper of the country through scares of handling is sufficient to start a regular wave of similar crime in various localities. Following the repetition in the daily paper of the hack, a man murder story similar case against to be reported from other part of the country. We are the victim of our habits, no matter who we are or what may be our life calling. Any idea is that is deliberately fixed in the mind, or any idea that is permitted to set itself in the mind as the result of suggestion, environment, the influence of associates, etc., is sure to cause us to indulge in act which conform to the nature of the idea. From the habit of thinking and talking of prosperity and abundance, the very soon material evidence of these will begin to manifest itself in the nature of wider opportunity and new and unexpected opportunity. Like attracts like. If you are in business and having formed the habit of talking and thinking about business being bad, business will be bad. One permits, providing he is permitted to continue his destructive influence long enough, can destroy the work of half a dozen competent men, and he will do it by setting adrift in mind of his associates in the thought of poverty and failure. One of the most successful banker in the state of Illinois has this sign hanging in his private office. We talk and think only of abundance here. If you have a talk of woes, please keep it, as we do not want it. No business firm wants the service of a pessimist, and those who understand the law of attraction and the law of habit will no more tolerate the pessimist than they would permit a burglar to roam around this place of business, for the reason that one such person will destroy the usefulness of those around him. You are a human magnet, and you are constantly attracting to you people those whose character harmonize with your own. In tens of thousands of homes, the general topic of conversation is poverty and want. And that is just what they are getting. They think of poverty, they talk of poverty, they accept poverty as their lot in life. The reason that because their ancestors were poor before they also must remain poor. The poverty consciousness is formed as a result of the habit of thinking of the fearing poverty. Lo, the thing I had feared this come upon me. The slavery of debt. That is a merciless master, a fatal enemy of the saving habit. Poverty alone is sufficient to kill of ambition, destroy self-confidence, and destroy hope. But add to it the burden of debt, and all who are victims of those who cruel taskmaster are practically doomed to failure. No man can do this best work. No man can express himself in terms that command respect. No man can either create or carry out a definite purpose in life. With heavy debt hanging over his head, the man who is bound in the slavery of debt is just as helpless as the slave who is bound by the ignorance or by actual chain. The author has a very close friend whose income is $1,000 a month. His wife loves a society and tries to make the $20,000 showing on the $12,000 income, with the result that his poor fellow is usually about $8,000 in debt. Every member of the family has the spending habit, having acquired this form of mother. The children, two girls and the one boy, are now at the age when they are thinking of going to college, but this is impossible because of the father's death. The result is dissension between the father and his children, which makes the entire family unhappy and miserable. It is a terrible thing even to think of going through life like a prisoner in chains, bound down and owned by somebody else on account of debt. The accumulation of debt is a habit. It starts in a small way and grows to enormous proportions slowly, step by step, until finally it takes charge of one's very soul. Thousands of young men start their married lives with unnecessary debt having over their head and never manage to get out from under the load. After the novelty of marriage began to wear off, as it usually does, the marriage couple begin to feel the embarrassment of want, and this feeling grows until it leads oftentimes to open dissatisfaction with one another and eventually to the divorce court. a man who is a man who is bound by the slavery of debt has no time or inclination to set up work out ideals, with the result that he drift downward with time until he eventually begin to set up limitations in his own mind, and by these he hatch himself behind prison walls of fear and doubt from which he never escaped. No sacrifice is too great to avoid the misery of debt. Think of what you own yourself and those who are dependent upon you and resolve to be no man, is the device of one very successful man whose early chance were destroyed by debt. This man came to himself soon to the throw off the habit of buying that which he did not need and eventually work his way out of slavery. Most men who develop the habit of debt will not be so fortunate as to come to their sense in time to save themselves, because debt is something like quicksand, in that it has tendency to draw its victim deeper and deeper into the mire. The fear of poverty is one of the most destructive of six basic fears described in lesson 3. The man who becomes hopelessly in that debt is seized with his poverty fear, his ambition and self-confidence becomes paralyzed, and he sinks gradually into oblivion. There are two classes of debt. These are so different in nature that they deserve to be here described as follows. There are debts incurred for luxuries which become a debt loss. There are debts incurred the course of profession or business trending, which represents service or merchandise that can be converted back into asset. The first class of debt is one to be avoided. The second class may be indulged in, providing one recurring, and debt shows his judgment and does not go beyond the bound of reasonable limitations. The moment one buys beyond his limitations, he enters the realm of speculation, and speculation swallows more of the victims than it enriches. Practically all people who live beyond their means are tempted to speculate with the hope that they may recoup at a single turn of the wheel of fortune. So to speak, their entire indebtedness, the wheel generally stops at the wrong place, and far from finding themselves out of debt, such people are indulged in speculations, are bound more closely as slave of debt. The fear of poverty breaks down the willpower of its victim, and then they find themselves unable to restore their most lost fortune, and what is still more sad, they lose all ambitions to extricate themselves from the slavery of debt. Hardly a day passes that one may not see an account in the newspaper of the least one suicide as a result of worry over debt. The slavery of debt causes more suicide every year than all other causes combined, which is the slightest indication of cruelty of the poverty fear. During the war, millions of men faced the front line trenches without flinching, knowing that death might overtake them any moment. Those same men, when facing the fear of poverty, often cry, cringe, and out of a sheer desperation which paralyzes their reason, sometimes commit suicide. The person who is free from debt may with poverty and achieve outstanding financial success, but if he is bound by debt, such achievement is but a remote possibility and never a probability. Fear of poverty is a negative, destructive state of mind. Moreover, one negative state of mind has a tendency to attract other similar state of mind. For example, the fear of poverty may attract the fear of ill health, and these two may attract the fear of old age, so that the victim finds himself poverty stricken in ill health and actually growing old long before the time when he should begin to show the sign of old age. Millions of untimely nameless graves have been filled by this cruel state of mind known as the fear of poverty. And less than a dozen years ago, a man held a responsible position with the City National Park, New York City. Through living beyond his income, he constructed a large amount of debt, which caused him to worry until his destructive habit began to show up in his work and he was dismissed from the bank service. He secured another position at less money, but his creditors embarrassed him so that he decided to resign and go away into another city, where he hoped to escape them until he had accumulated enough money to pay off his indebtedness. Creditors have a way of tracing debtors, so very soon they were close on the heels of this young man, whose employers found out about his indebtedness and dismissed him for his position. He then searched in vain for employment for 2 months. One cold night, he went on to the top of one of tall building on Broadway and jumped off dead, has claimed another victim. How to master the fear of poverty? To whip the fear of poverty, one must take two very definite steps, providing one isn't debt. First, quit the habit of buying on credit and follow his by gradually pay off the debts that you have already incurred. Being free from worry of indebtedness, you are ready to revamp the habit of your mind and redirect your course towards prosperity. Adopt as a part of your definite chief aim the habit of serving a regular proportion of your income, even if this be no more than a penny a day. Very soon, this habit will begin a lay hold of your mind, and you will actually get joy out of saving. Any habit may be discontinued by building in its place some another and more desirable habit. The spending habit must be replaced by the saving habit by all who attain financial independence. Merely to discontinue an undesirable habit is not enough, as such habits have a tendency to reappear unless the place they formerly occupied in the mind is filled by some other habit of a different nature. The discontinuance of a habit leaves a hole in the mind, and this hole must be filled up with some other form of habit, or the old one will return and claim its place. Throughout this course, many psychological formulas which the student has been requested to memorize and practice have been described. You will find such a formula in lesson 3, the object of which is developed self-confidence. These formulas may be assimilated so that become a part of your mental machinery through the law of habit if you will follow the instructions for their use which accompany each of them. It is assumed that you are striving to attain financial independence. The accumulation of money is not difficult after you have one mastered the fear of poverty and developed in its place the habit of saving. The author of this course would be gradually disappointed to know that any student of the course got the impression from anything in this and any of the other lessons that success is measured by dollars alone. However, money does represent an important factor in success, and it must be given its proper value in any philosophical intention to help people in becoming useful, happy, and prosperous. The cold, cruel, relentless truth is that in this age of materialism, a man is no more than so many grains of sand, which may be blown helter skelter by every stray of the circumstances, unless he is entrenched behind the power of money. A genius may offer many reward to those who pass it, but the fact still remains that genius without money, with which to give expression, is about an empty skeleton like honor. The man without money is at the mercy of man who has it, and this goes regardless of the amount of ability he may possess, the training he has had, and the native genius of which he was gifted by nature. There is no such escape from the fact that people will weight you largely on the light of bank balance, no matter who you are and what you can do. The first question that arises in the mind of most people when they meet a stranger is how much money he has. If he has money, he is welcome into home and business opportunities are thrown his way. All sorts of attention are lavished upon him. He is a prince and such entitled to the best of the land. But if his shoes are run down at the heels, his clothes are not pressed, his collar is dirty, and he shows plenty of sign of impoverished finance, woe be this lot, for passing crowd will step on his toes and blow the smoke of disrespect in his face. These are not pretty statements, but they have one virtue: they are true. We are going to study the art of dealing with people. It's a very good book. It will definitely help us to improve our dealing with people. So it starts with thought. Conditioning can make the mind alert and powerful enough to change the thinking that comes up from the subconscious mind, a creative kind of thinking that leads to success and happiness. Norman Vincent Peale. Thought conditioner. The content talks about, I'm reading out the content of the text. Number 1, thinking creatively about human relations. 2, understanding the human ego. 3, making people feel important. 4, controlling the actions and attitude of others. 5, creating a good impression. 6, developing an attractive personality. 7, learning to communicate effectively. 8, listening. 9, convincing others. So these are the content of the text. Thinking creatively about human relations. All of us want two things out of life: success and happiness. All of us are different. Your idea of success may be different from mine, but there is one big factor which all of us must learn to deal with if we are to be successful and happy. The one common denominator to all success and happiness is other people. Various scientific studies have proven that if you learn how to deal with other people, you will have gone 85% of the way down the road to succeed in any business, occupation, or profession, about 99% of the way to personal happiness. Merely getting along isn't the answer. What counts is a way to deal with people that will bring us personal satisfaction and at the same time not trample on others' egos. Human relation is the science of dealing with people in such a way that our egos and their egos remain intact. And this is the only method of getting along with people that even ever results in any real success or satisfaction. The reason 90% of the people fail in life is a failure to deal successfully with people. Look around you. Are the most successful people those with the most brains, the most skills? It's a question. Are the people who are the happiest and get the most fun out of life so much smarter than the other people you know? If you will stop and think a moment, the chances are that you will say that the people you know who are the most successful and enjoy life the most are those who have a way with people. Your personality problem are your problems with the other people. There are millions of people today who are self-consciousness, shy, and ill at ease in social situation. They feel inferior and never realize that their real problem is a human relations problem. It never seems to get across to them that their failure is a personality, is a failure in learning to deal successfully with people. There are almost as many as who, at least on the surface, seems to be very opposite of the shy, retiring type. They appear to be self-assured, they are bossy and dominate any social situation they are in, whether it is the home, the office, or the club. Yet they too realize that something is missing. They wonder why their employees or other families do not appreciate them. They wonder why people do not cooperate more willingly, why it is necessary to continuously force people into line. And most of all, they realize in their more candid moment that the people they are most anxious to impress never really give them the approval and acceptance they crave. They attempt to force cooperation, the loyalty and friendship, to push people to produce for them. But the one thing they cannot force is the thing they want the most. They cannot force people to like them. They never really get what they want because they have never mastered the art of dealing with people. Whether we like it or not, people are here to stay. In our modern world, we simply cannot achieve any success or happiness without taking other people into account. The doctor, the lawyer, salesperson who enjoy the most success is not necessarily the one who is the most intelligent or the most skillful in the mechanics of her job. The husband and wife who are the happiest are not the ones who are the most attractive. Look for success in any endeavor and you will find someone who has mastered the next of dealing with people, a person who has a way with others. Skill in human relation is similar to skill in any other field. In that, success depends on understanding and mastering certain basic general principle. You must not only, as far as basic principles are concerned, people are all the same. Yet each individual person you meet in different. If you attempt to learn some gimmick to deal successfully with each separate individual you meet, you would be faced with a hopeless task. Influencing people is an art, not a gimmick. When you apply gimmicks in a superficial mechanical manner, you go through the same motion as the person who has a way, but it doesn't work for you. The purpose of this book is to give you knowledge based upon understanding of human nature. Why people act the way they do. Methods presented in this book have been tested on thousands of people who have attended my human relations seminar. They are not just my pet idea of how you should deal with people, but idea that have stood the test of how you must deal with people. And that is, if you want to get along with them and get what you want at the same time. Yes, we all want success and happiness, and the day is long if it is existed when you could achieve these goals by forcing people to give you what you want, and begging is no better for no one has a respect for or any desire to help. The person who constantly uh, no toes and literally goes around with him and out begging people to like. The one successful way to get the things you want from life is to acquire skill in dealing with people. Read on you and will learn now. Understanding the human ego. Because the human ego is such a precious thing to its possessor, and because a person will go to such extreme to defend against what he perceives as threat to his ego, the word egotism has a negative connotation. Let's look at the other side of the egotism. If it can cause people to do silly, irrational, destructive things, it can also cause them to act nobly and heroically. What is egotism anyway? Edward Bach, an editor and humanitarian, said that what the world calls ego and conceit is really a divine spark planted in man, and that only those who had lighted the divine spark with them ever accomplish great things. Whatever name you want to give it, human dignity, personality, and uniqueness. Deep with the heart of everyone, there is something that is important and that demands respect. Every human being is a personal, individual personality. The most powerful drive in any person is to defend this important something against all enemies. This is why you cannot treat people as machines, as number, as masses, and get away with it. Every effort that has been made to deprive humans of this individual worth has failed. It is more powerful than armies and prison camp. It proves more powerful than feudal lord who tries to turn people into serfs. It proves more powerful than Hitler's armies, and it sets the stage of our own lens of free.